Today we're joined by Jessica Hoch, founder of Moxie, a yoga teacher, artist, and creator of intentional crystal jewelry designed to support healing, courage, and inner peace. We're diving into the energy behind malas, living peacefully untamed, and turning creativity into a spiritual practice. Stick around. This program is part of the Scene Project's podcast network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Well, welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today is Jessica Hoch. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since we first met, but nice to reconnect here on the show. Off the top, I'd love to just kind of give you the floor and let you give us a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll get into all the stuff that you're doing now.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey, I'm Jessica. I've been a yoga and meditation teacher for 17 years now, which is kind of crazy to say. And all of this started with that practice. So I was creating jewelry to be really intentional, meaningful gifts for my students and for people that were just close to me. And more people were interested in having custom intentional pieces made for them. And honestly, it's just blossomed from there. And we've been in business for 10 years now. Everything that we have is still handmade in-house with genuine stones and crystals. And we also take people beyond their bracelet and into experiences like workshops, retreats, our Moxie monthly bracelet club, where we have a members call each month and talk about the intentions behind the bracelets. So really, my background is that yoga and meditation, and I really love bringing people into their bodies, into their intentions to really foster that healing and transformation and empowerment behind what they're working on in their lives. And then also a little bit about my background is I have a degree in apparel design. So just as much as I love intention, I love color and design. And I've been an artist my whole life and come from a long line of artists, so on both sides. So color and design have been a part of my whole life. I grew up in a flower shop and surrounded by eye candy and color. And so it's just been, my whole life has been color and design, and with yoga coming in, creating a lot of intention and meaning behind all that. So yeah.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Yoga is everything intentional, right? Every movement, every pose has a meaning behind it. And obviously, coming from the background that you have, it makes perfect sense that you've landed on what you do now, which is bringing together kind of both sides of that. So still teaching yoga now as well?
I'm teaching just for special retreats and events like that. I don't have any weekly classes at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of work.
It is. At the height of my teaching, I was teaching like 28 classes a week, and I'm like, okay, this is enough now. But that was like pre-kids, pre-marriage. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't have a life besides the yoga studio at that point.
No, not really. Yeah.
So safe to say that you have found some balance there where you're still able to connect with, your yogis, right? And you're still able to teach and to do that. But it seems like you've built not just, a business, but it seems like you have a community around your artist side now and developing and making bracelets and workshopping and all of this. Does that come from the yoga world? Because it's so like community is intentional in yoga as well. Did you kind of bring that over from that side?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, in yoga, it's a satsang. It's your, yogic community. And that's one of the pillars of Moxie Malas, and really like my passion behind what I'm doing is community and having people feel really supported and included and part of something, part of that village.
And that's everything these days. It's so interesting to me that, 30 years ago, right, we all knew this. And then over the last 3 decades of the internet just kind of becoming what it is now, that it feels like we're getting back to that. And now
Yeah.
actually using the internet to foster more
Mhm.
communities. And I see it a lot in our world with our, our music world, especially, and the podcast to some degree as well, that it's all about those communities. We have several
Mhm.
Facebook groups and just bringing people in and connecting with other
Mhm.
people. And I feel like it's more important today than maybe it's ever been in history.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, absolutely. It's like we're so connected digitally, but we're so disconnected. Like we're so connected easily, but we feel very isolated. So being really intentional about that connection and that digital community is so important. Mhm.
Yeah, how you
Mhm.
could be connected and detached all at the same
Mhm.
time. But
Yeah.
where we're at in this world and in this
Mhm. Mhm.
life, and it's been so interesting. And I think for people of our age, I'll be 40 in May. I've got like
Mhm.
seen it go from an analog world, and we moved from the Chicago area, so I remember
Okay.
Windows 95 coming and like my neighbors connected to the internet, right? And
Yeah.
then
Oh yeah, I remember dial up.
oh,
Mhm.
dial-up. Oh, yeah. And then, like, we didn't have it yet, but
Yeah.
then shortly after that, we moved out to Deadwood, South Dakota. We didn't have
Yeah.
internet in the house until like my senior year of high school. So,
Yeah.
like, we almost moved like back in time, moving
Mhm.
out to there. When we moved to Deadwood, we weren't living in town. We were living in the middle of the woods. So
Oh yeah,
it was very different. And now
for
I
sure.
feel like, just over the last maybe, less than 10 years where I've really been connected and staying there, but realizing that like I want to bring this community and bring people together. Like that's what
Mhm.
I love. I'm not on the internet to, to research the next big thing or to look up celebrities or, like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. I
that's
don't mean to
not
laugh
what
so hard at that. Yeah.
for. Yeah, it's just never been what I've
Yeah.
used it for. It's always been
Mhm.
about how do I connect and network with other people
Mhm.
that are doing the things that I want to be doing. And that's why it was really great to be involved with, mostly with Kelly Wagner, obviously.
Yeah.
And she was a big part of Awaken Your
Mhm.
Spiritual Curiosity, the event in Sioux Falls where we had met while you were
Mhm.
scooting around. And
Yeah. Healing my broken foot. Yes.
yeah, well, things happen, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
and you handled it with such grace. I think a lot of people would have just like been like, I'm not going. I'm not going to roll around on this thing and to do this. And you
Yeah.
seem like you're kind of having fun with it by the end of the day too.
I was. I kind of miss the scooter sometimes. I'm like, it was so convenient.
Well, it takes me back. It's like, yeah, I wish I could skateboard. I'm just too scared to do it anymore, right?
Yeah. We
The
don't bounce like we used to. That's like snowboarding.
No, and
I
that's what
fell
it
in.
is, right? We've lost that flexibility
Yeah.
from bouncing back.
Yeah.
I played basketball with the wife and kids, and we were like
Mhm.
super intense, right? My kids
Yeah.
are 4 foot tall. I'm usually just standing there and swatting them. But like my body hurt.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we were running
Yeah.
up and down. We were playing a half court game, and I was just like, oh, you are not. And we work out a little bit
Yeah.
and to do that, but it takes a lot of effort to keep up the older we
Mhm.
get.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. My husband's playing soccer again, and he's like his first game, he goes, "Oh my god." He's like, "That was intense."
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
remember going to college and I was a three sport athlete in high school. So it was like
Mhm.
soccer in the fall and spring,
Mhm.
basketball all winter, and doing all of these things, baseball all summer. And
Mhm.
I took that when I went away to college. I wasn't playing any sports and just kind of hanging out. I wasn't working out or doing anything. And then
Yeah.
trying to come back, and I had a year of eligibility left in our spring soccer and I was dead. They put me out there to start, and I was like 10 minutes in. I'm like, sub, man. Like, somebody get me out of here.
Just stuck in
What am
air.
I doing? Yeah, just no shape, trying to come back with no practice.
Oh, that's wild.
If
Yeah.
you don't use it, you lose it very quickly. And I was
Oh, yeah.
18, 19 years old at that time.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. That's
So what's
funny.
kind of the most important thing? I mean, you're obviously doing so much. You're creating all the time. Obviously,
Mhm.
you need to sell pieces to maintain the business. But
Mhm.
is it mostly around like just creating and selling, or is a lot of what you do on a daily, weekly basis focused more around like your workshops and the community?
It's very much 50-50, I would say. Well, I mean, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's more community focused. Sometimes it's more product focused. Like right now, we're pretty heavily product focused because we're coming into the holidays. But now, as we move into like post Black Friday and all of that, and coming into, the winter season in January, we start to focus much more on community because we're talking about creating your intentions for the new year and coming together and reflecting on, how did this past year go? What do I want to see happen in the year to come up? So it definitely kind of ebbs and flows depending on the season, but they're both always there for sure. And our Moxie monthly bracelet club, every month we have a members only call. And so that's like we come on, we have a Zoom, we're live, we could go back and forth, do guided meditation with that, and walk through the intention of the monthly bracelet. Mm-hmm.
How interesting. And yeah, of course, with the holidays coming up as we're recording this, you need to have the product out there. Now, are you doing a lot of like holiday fairs where you're setting up similar to Awaken and hanging out all days and selling on the weekends? And
Yep. Yeah, I have a lot of shows. I think I have 20 shows before the end of the year. So we've got a lot coming up in the next 4 weeks.
that's a lot of setup and tear down.
It is. And I'm actually doing another show. Well, Kelly's helping facilitate with it out in Costa Mesa in Orange County. So I'm excited for that one in December. And yeah, we've got a lot. I travel with this business too. So that's the thing about the internet too. That's really amazing is that the community can be as broad as you want it to be. It's not just, you're not confined to just local. You can have a community that's across the whole country, which is amazing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've built, especially with our music community, which is where I fell out of. As a songwriter, that's why I started, and most of our episodes are with those. But I have very, varying interests in my life, and I love supporting small businesses. I mean, that's just part of who I am, and not necessarily like every small business it is right, but especially people who are kind of in this space, which for me, energy healing and music are kind of one and the same, although a lot of people don't think of it that way.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about sound healing. Sound healing is huge right now and up and coming, which is great. I mean, it's an ancient practice, but now it's finally getting the traction that it needs and deserves, So, and yeah, sound healing, music, the different frequencies people talk about within their songs, so it's amazing. And also, even thinking about artists, when I sit and I work and I'm at my table, so this is my table here with all my beads, look at it. And when I sit and work at my table, I definitely have music going. I could sit in silence and sometimes it requires that, but most of the time there's some sort of music playing. Mm-hmm.
I'd love for you to share a little bit about your process. Now, obviously with a custom piece, it's a lot different, but if you're just in the studio creating, where does the inspiration come from for new pieces for you? Is there a standard kind of models that you work with and different things, or is everything just a new stroke of inspiration? Does it start with a crystal and kind of builds around that? Or I'm intrigued. Well, how does it begin?
The creative process. Yes.
Yeah.
I would say, the process is there's always an intention behind it. So there's the intention, and then I will research stones and crystals. Now I have a pretty good grip. I've been doing it for 10 years on what stones and crystals would support that intention. And then I play with the design, the colors, the textures, the balance of the piece. And then it comes to life. I would say that, the intention, the inspiration behind that can be different. Every month we have Moxie Monthly, and it's a different intention each month. And we are on month 80 right now. So I have created 80 different bracelets for the last 80 months, and which is like almost 6 years. And that one is really interesting because I start to hear, not literally hear, but like I start to notice different patterns and different intentions or things that people are mentioning. Like, for example, standing in awe. This was last month. November was I stand in awe. And there was a lot of conversation coming up with people around me, other, collaborators, where they're like, I'm just in awe of like the beauty of the world. Even though there's all this stuff happening in the world, there's so much beauty. Or, I have a huge garden in my backyard, and you can't help but stand in awe when you take a tiny seed to, a 40-foot vine with 80, fruits on it. It's unreal, So that was kind of the inspiration behind it. So then it was like, okay, well, what kind of colors, what kind of stones make me think of awe? And then, what kind of pattern do I want it to have that would inspire that? And so we kind of move through that. And then if I do custom pieces, that's different. I'm going to sit down with you. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to say, what are you working on right now? Where do you feel like you want support? And then I'm going to go in and figure out what kind of stones and crystals are going to best support that. And then we can have a conversation. Mm-hmm.
How many pieces are you creating daily? I mean, is it like, are you doing 5 to 10 in a day, or is it just like one each day? Is it different intentions throughout the day, or there's so much here.
So it's interesting because as an artist, people think that you are sitting and creating all day, every day, which would be a dream. Most of the time I'm on my computer and running an e-commerce business. So I would say I have days where I am in the studio and this is like a dedicated studio day, and I will create any number of styles. So like I might have 12 different styles depending on how many customs we're working on. And then other days I won't be designing at all. So it just depends on the day. It's not consistent. I wish I need to dedicate time every day to just be in here and play and create. That would be great.
Yeah. Well, that takes intention, right?
Yes.
And I found that in the podcasting world, when I first started, the calendar was just open. Right. And you book in every day. So then I was having, scheduled interviews every day, but like I have other stuff that I need to do as you, I spend a lot of time on my computer, right? I'm running not necessarily an e-commerce business, but in a business on the internet, whether it's finding new people to network with or promoting our show and marketing ourselves and, dealing with clients. So, a lot of our stuff is client service related now. So I wasn't able to change hats that fast, right? Like being someone who's on an interview and being someone who's being a mentor are two very different things. So, and I was just like constantly having where I finally was like, okay, we're going to dedicate 2 days a week to interviews, and Tuesdays and Thursdays are it. And we'll just do interviews those days, and then limiting those. There were some days I was doing 6, 7 interviews, and I get to the end of the afternoon, I'm just like exhausted, right? I'm completely right. Well, you've had 7 get to know you conversations, and you're coming up with questions on the fly. So I just recently went to Nashville, and I was working the red carpet at the Grand Ole Opry, and it was for the Josie Music Awards. These are all the autographs that I got, right? Because I couldn't keep a tab on how many people were coming through. I did 150 interviews in a 3.5 hour period. Just next, and this massive line, because that was their moment, right? This is your moment in the sun. You've been nominated for this award. And it wasn't necessarily about like my content from it. It was about you and giving you this time. And we finished up. They were finally like, hey, the show's starting. Are you like, do you want to go in? I was like, yeah, we should probably do that, right? We should probably go enjoy our time. But as we're like tearing down and everything, I'm just like, oh, I am wrecked. I feel like I've played a whole soccer game, right? And I've been running up and down the field the whole time. And I don't often, because we're just talking, I don't often give myself the grace of like, this is work, and it's very hard work. For most people, and most people just aren't built for it at all, to stand in front of a crowd and to be on in front of a camera and to do those things. So I need to start giving myself a little bit of time and a little bit of grace in that. That's actually a mantra I have right in front of my face, is I give myself grace. Like, we're just figuring this out. We haven't been doing this for 10 years. Like, yes, I've been having conversations my entire life. I haven't shut up since I learned how to talk at 2 years old, right?
Perfect.
But it's been a learning and growing process over the course of just the last 18 months to figure out who we are in this space. Who is our, customer, right? That's kind of weird because everyone becomes friends as soon as you're on the other side of that camera, or you're standing next to me, you're now a friend, and I'm just trying to help you in whatever way I can.
I feel that way with my customers.
And how can you not, when you're sharing something so personal to you, and they're bringing you their fears and doubts and stresses and anxieties, and looking for you to kind of be to build them a tool for, not necessarily always like healing that, but giving them some
supporting
comfort,
it,
right?
Supporting it. Absolutely.
It's amazing. I love it. Jessica,
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you forever. I feel like we could just sit here and talk all
We
day if
could
we
chat for a
wanted
while.
to.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
tell everyone how they can find you online, how they can become part of the workshops and the Malas monthly and just
Mhm.
all the things.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you could just go to moxiemallas.com, everything is there. We have a section for upcoming events and workshops. We have a section for Moxie Monthly, the Bracelet Club. You can join as a month, or you can do an annual membership. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm also on Instagram, a little bit on TikTok. I'm trying. Please don't judge me. We need some grace in that. But yeah, Instagram, we're on there too. So check us out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, fantastic, Jessica. It was such a pleasure to have met you this year, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more from you and to have a mala piece of my own here in the future. Good luck to you with all of the holiday fairs and your
Thank
travels
you.
out there. I'm sure Costa Mesa in December will be a nice respite from our
Yeah.
upper Midwestern winters,
It would be nice.
which are
Yeah.
already blowing in. I was actually just
Yeah.
up in the Twin Cities. I hit a Vikings tailgate and the game a
Nice.
few weeks ago,
Mhm.
and it was cold outside and blowing, and it was like, oh, winter's like
Coming.
right around the corner, and we
Oh,
need to
yeah.
get prepared. So,
Oh,
thank you
yeah.
so much for a little bit of your time today, and thank you for
Oh,
being
thank
part
you.
of the scene.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.